Hey there, YouTube. This is Dan Strong with Excel VBA is Fun. Today we have a question from Michael, and he asks, he's got a sample workbook. I'm going to shrink it down here. Control scroll wheel down one more. Um, I'll do this size here. Basically, he's going to open this user form, and what he wants to do, if he clicks on platoons A, C, and E, if he clicks this button, he wants it to do this. See, over here we have the platoon numbers. So this person, let's say Biscara, if you follow it over here, is in platoon D. And then the next one, Chambers, is in platoon G. Anyway, he wants it to either hide each row or just do some kind of filter or something. So when he clicks this button that says ACE, for example, it will show only platoons A, C, or if there's an E, and it will just kind of filter it out. So it's a custom filter, really. What I'd like to propose is, rather than doing a loop and hiding a bunch of rows, as that may be slow, it may not, I don't know. You could do that one at a time and just do a loop. I'd like to propose maybe doing a filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this a label in case that matters for the filter. Now typically when you want to do an auto filter, if you click on a range and you go to the data and you click on like sort or go to filter, it's automatically going to try and find the topmost one, which it would consider B1 or A1 to be the topmost. So we may have to tell it the filter range. What we could do is we could go ahead and record the first example by doing a filter, like selecting the range manually, and then later we can have VBA do that, starting with starting with row 6 all the way to the bottommost row or something like this, and then running a filter. So we're going to go ahead and go to the developer tab. We're going to click on record macro, and we'll give this a friendly name, like we'll call it filter ACE, because we're going to use A, C, and E. So now we're recording. Let's go ahead and head over to B6 all the way through. We could, in case he ever adds columns, we could go all the way to OI or something. Control Shift down, and that'll pretty much cover everything. Now, using the selected range, let's go to the Data tab and use the filter. And hopefully that will, yeah, now that we selected a particular area, and maybe I should have started it on 5. Yeah, let me undo that. Let's go to 5. Control Shift over, Control Shift down, and we'll hit the filter button now. That's a little better. We'll use the platoon thing right here, okay? And we're going to deselect all, and we're just going to do A, C, and E, and we're going to hit OK. And we can allow blanks as well, because there's a few on the bottom. So I'm going to hit OK, and so now we have only A's, C's, and E's. That's kind of the rule that he wanted to create with that button. So now, I'm just going to go to Developer tab and tell it to stop recording. And now we want to see kind of how that looks. So I hit Alt F11, and we're going to take a look at the code. And it'll be under modules and under the lastmost one whenever we record a new one. So selecting the range is kind of irrelevant right now. Scrolling down, that's stupid. Range, this is just what we selected, so ignore that. Selection.AutoFilter, that might be handy. Range B, no, that's not, then we reselected a range, so all this is stupid. And I'm going to erase that. Here's where it got good. Selection.AutoFilter, and then the range that we selected is shown here. .AutoFilter field equals 396. I don't know what that means. Criteria, here we go. Here's the good part. Criteria equals array of A, the text A, comma, the text C, comma, and the text E, comma, and then the equal sign must be including blanks or something. And then that's the end of the array. And then all the other stuff, operator equals XL, filter values, that's blah, you know, whatever. We'll leave it there, but who cares? And we scroll down with the scroll wheel on the mouse. Whoop-de-doo. So probably all you need is this. Get a range in here and .autofilter it, and then make the active sheet .range using the same range area. .autofilter. Actually, may not. This one-liner might do it. I'm not sure. So let's play around with that. Let's do filter ACE. We'll make that one be a little bit more dynamic, so that if he adds rows or takes them away, that it will kind of do that. So let's take a look here at our range. We want it to start with B5, so we can always know that. First of all, let's declare WS as a worksheet and set our WS variable to equal to this workbook dot sheets, and this one's called quite a name there. I'll double click and just paste overtime hours 2014 end quote in parentheses. So we have WS. You could put anything as long as you're consistent on these two things. Now we need to get the last row, so we use our standard code that we always use, WS dot cells rows dot count, comma, using column 1 dot end, using XL up dot row, and voila, you have the last row. So what we're going to do, we'll have our filter area. This is just whatever, you know, we'll say my filter area equals, and we're going to say ws.range, and the range that I'm going to choose is going to always start with B5, so B5 through OG, and then the row can be dynamic, so we'll combine that with an ampersand and our variable that contains the last row number. So if the last row number here was trapped at, let's say, 1000, then this would say B5 through OG 1000. So that's a very dynamic way to set the filter area. In fact, we may want to say set my filter, since this is a range. Let's toy with that. So we're going to say my filt dot select, I suppose, or we could just say that dot autofilter. We could just bypass the selection, I don't know. Dot autofilter, well, this is a dot autofilter too, so maybe I'm going to comment that out, but maybe we can just put all this stuff after a one-liner like that. Yeah, my filter, that's a range that we've got here, dot autofilter, and then all this stuff here about AC and E. So let's try that. Let's debug that one step at a time. If it works, then we could essentially just change the AC and E to the other ones and have all these work like that. Let me save this workbook right now. And what I'd like to do now is put a stop marker right about there, so that when we trigger this macro, let's go ahead and take the auto filter data filter off. So we've deselected the auto filter, and let's trim this down so we can see what's going on, but still where we can debug and kind of look at it. So here we go. Very quickly, I'm going to hit F8 to begin the macro. Begins here. Okay, WS is going to equal that worksheet. WSLR is going to find the last row, which that does not seem right. Okay, I don't want to use column. It looks like they've got A hidden. So let's try using column 2, which is also B. You could also just put B in quotes. Let's use column B. So let's go back to WSLR. That's why we're debugging. There we go, 85, because we're actually using column B, or 2. So there's 85. So my filt is going to be equal to B5 through OG 85. So if we set that right now, now we're saying use this range, my filt, which we know is B5 through OG85. So set that range dot AutoFilter using blah blah blah. The main thing is criteria is A, C, and E over in I don't know, over in that particular column. I guess that's what field equals 396 is all about. That must be column 396. Goodness. I guess it could be. That's quite a lot of, well, whatever. So probably that's what this field is, equals to the column number that you're referring to for the first criteria. Anyway, let's go ahead and try it. Hit F8 and shoot, that's it. So all I have to do is do a filter like that. And there you have it. So let's go ahead and program the other buttons. I'm going to hit F8 to complete this macro so the yellow will go away. Let's take that off. Let's trim this down. Trim all the fat here off of our little macro. First of all, we don't need that. Just want this to be very, bare minimum kind of thing. In fact, I'm even going to take away this thing that makes it onto a new line and just have it a one-liner here. Don't really need that space there. Don't need that space. And also, I'm going to select all this and Shift Tab. And then delete that here. Okay. Trimmed all the fat pretty much. Filter ACE is this. So when we go to user form 1, for this, oh goodness, Control Z. When you double click on this button, blah blah blah, I know what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm going to simply call or recall the macro called filter ACE. So when you put call, or you don't even have to write that nowadays, you can just put filter ACE and it will call up that macro and start that. So just let's test it. Let's go ahead and turn off the filter here. Click the open platoon form. Let's click on this, view ACE, and when I click on it, it runs the filter on A's, C's, and E's over in column OG. That's pretty cool. So if I hit it again, I wonder if anything will happen that's bad. Hopefully not. No, it just reiterated the same thing. Now let's see what other ones he wants to do. How about A? No, let's do something completely different. Let's do B, D, and G. So we'll create another one, and we'll call it, what did I say, BDG. Control C and Control V. We're going to call this one filter BDG. And quite simply, B, D, G, and include blanks if we want to. So now that it's dynamic, let's go ahead and copy that name. And for BDGs, we'll just say call filter BDG. Or again, if you really don't want to see that, you could just say filter BDG. It'll still work. I like to see that because I know that I'm calling a particular thing. And it's not a variable, it's a macro, or it's a sub. So let's open this back up. And let's click on View BDG and see if it works well. So now we're looking at B's, D's, and G's. And the A's, C's, and E's are no longer on the forefront. So let's click and verify B, D, G, and blanks. Wow, that's pretty powerful, isn't it? We'll do a couple more. You can stop watching at any time, but we're going to go ahead and do a few more. And if you want to follow along, you sure can. We already did a BDG. Why not BDF? That'd be an easy one to implement really quick. How about BDF? Filter BDF. That one's done. We need to rename this one to filter BDF so that when this button is pressed, it runs that. What's next? How about ACF? So we'll do an ACF one. A, C, F is already present. So now double click on that to copy. And we'll do the ACF button. that one will trigger that macro. Next one we need might be BEG. Okay, so let's do a BEG very quickly. Control C. BEG, I believe we said BEG. B, E, and G. And then we need to do that whenever we click on this button. So paste. And the next one we need would be, we already did ACE, but I think that's a typo. I think he meant ADF because there's a label right there. So this will be ADF. Let's go ahead and try an ADF really quick. ADF. ADF. Control C to copy that. ADF, paste. What's left? Not much. CEG, I think we already did this one. We already did that one. This one. The last one we'll need to do is show all platoons after we do the CEG one. CEG, again, piece of cake after we got the pattern down. How about CEG? C, E, and G, and Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and when we want to show all platoons, we just need to undo the, I'm going to comment out that, and we're just going to turn the autofilter off. Now, how do you do that? Let's look at the code. Let's go ahead and click on the record macro, and let's say no A filter, disabling autofilter. So just click here, go to data, click on the filter button to deactivate the filter, and then stop recording under the developer tab. Let's see how that macro looks. No A filter. So it basically, now there's another way to disable autofilter. Let's see. Let me see. I know there's a code. Oh, there's always Google, right? Let me check with that. I don't remember the exact coding. Okay, very quick Google search revealed that we're going to use something like, we're going to use like, let's go ahead and copy the worksheet that we're using, the WS thing here. That way we can pinpoint the worksheet that we want to use. Apparently all we need to use is WS, or you could use active sheet if you're always going to be on that sheet when you're doing it. I'm going to say WS because we know that's the correct sheet. WS dot show all data. Just this little one-liner here, WS dot show all data, should reveal any and all filters. We'll remove them to reveal all data. So that should actually do it right there. So let's make sure that the no A filter works. So we'll assign that macro to run whenever they click on that button right there. No A filter when that button is clicked. You could also just put this, you could just copy this and put it inside the button instead. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save what I've got so far, and let's give this a try. I'm going to click on, because we're pretty much done, I'm going to click on open the platoon form. Let's do an ADF. So only D's, F's, and A's will show. Yep, that seems like it's working pretty well. How about BDFs? Yeah, BDFs. How about CEG? Great, it's working perfectly. ACE, ADF, and show all platoons. So it left the filter on, but it's showing all the data. So that's actually perfect. Okay, Hey everybody, thanks for watching this presentation. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them for me. If you have anything to add to that, because I'm not a genius and you may have some really good tips, we want to hear that. We're an Excel nerd, awesome people community. It's not just, me helping people. So you help me out or help others out. Leave your comments, questions. Be sure to click like if you liked it, and whatever. If you didn't like it, leave me a comment, whatever. I can try to improve, but I'm just trying to help people, so whatever. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and God bless.